What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your daily astrology horoscope for Monday, December 30th, 2024. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Appreciate you all so much. Happy new moon in Capricorn. Hope everybody's doing well. Take a look at this new moon today. We at 9 degrees of Capricorn. We're closing out the Sagittarius lunation. So definitely got to see like a big broad scope of possibilities. Now we're in Capricorn season fully with the new moon, and it's more about consolidated effort. Um, Trying to really hone in on what our blueprint is of the structures that we're trying to build, the time that we want to spend, our achievements, a lot of different things that we want to dedicate to. So it's pretty cool, right? Capricorn, it's getting tailored to kind of see what we want out of life right now and how to get there. It's almost like setting the long-term plans in place, the goals in place. Now, it's in pretty good aspect with Saturn. It's a 5-degree orb to a sextile. And Saturn is squaring Jupiter in Gemini. So it is like there's a lot of things to build on from here. And I think we want to really put perspective into place and to put fact into place of like what's possible, because we can kind of want maybe the biggest goals, biggest sort of achievements ever right now. But I feel like if we're just overly hopeful, we might feel like we're not getting enough. And so we want to be more intelligent, if you will, and strategic about different plans. And I think as long as we're also seeing that Saturn's in this collective 12th house of Pisces and closing a lot of cycles and getting ready to start new cycles when it comes into Aries next year and meets with Neptune, that we're trying to reconfigure our goals in interesting new ways, especially with Pluto now at 1 degree of Aquarius and Mars at 2 degrees in retrograde in Leo. And they're going to oppose for the second opposition. Especially with Mars retrograde now, like Pluto's definitely stronger. And it's our unconscious desires and our conscious desires and our ego and this deeper compulsion within us. And I think we all want this future. And we're all trying to reinvent ourselves and reinvent how we're going to finalize a lot of structure and move forward into life right now. But there's weird sort of ego checks that we want to be mindful of. So where we're trying to be very dedicated and dial up long-term plans, sometimes it's almost like what our ego wants might be a reflection of maybe some of the Saturn and Pisces, like almost like beating our head against a wall kind of thing, like not getting any traction, and trying to be in more of a conscious flow, because what we might really want might not be what we're really supposed to be building in the future. And I think that's where like this Capricorn season can feel abrasive. It's even at like a 9 degrees, which is a very Martian degree. We want to be in a flow, and we want to kind of trust the inner guidance to help us build the proper boundaries and structure that we're looking to go after in life. And we want to be serious enough without being overly serious and like losing track of what's fun and creative in life. But, dialed in enough to know like what's almost a self-undoing, what isn't working, so that we can build the better plan and reinvent ourselves. And I think that that's part of it right now too, is we're all in a place of a little bit of reinventing and trying to understand what that actually means to our ego and what that means for our wants and desires and how we're going to actualize these things. And it's sort of a complicated equation. And I think it's very odd and different and unique for so many different people about what that's going to look like. Trying to sift through it, but we want to be dedicated to something, right? We could already have plans and goals in play. And I think we just want to be okay with seeing the truth of the matter on if certain plans and things that we wanted were meant to be. Were they part of the destiny? Were they part of the legacy? Or are there new things getting reinvented within us because maybe there's identity shifts taking place right now that are odd and unique feeling to us as individuals? And being okay with this sort of uniqueness and being willing to start over if we have to. Capricorn's funny. It wants to go forward. It's cardinal earth. It wants to build. It doesn't really want to stop the construction process, if you will. But at the same time, cardinal energy works best when we remember that it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And I think the more we're okay and we don't get too worked up or our desire to achieve or have something set by a certain time or done by a certain time, I think we're going to be more comfortable with taking a step back because that's where we're going to reconfigure and have a better understanding of a future we're trying to build. And I hope that makes sense because there's a lot of energy that wants to go forward and start. There's a new lunation. There's all this sort of pop in new energy. We're coming into a new year. New calendar year. 2025 is going to start. So there's a lot of, I think, a lot of hope and wish and like ideals going into this new structure. But the structure isn't fully formed yet. And I think as we're forming this structure in our lives right now, just remember it's okay to take steps back. We don't have to forcefully try so hard. It's funny with Saturn in Pisces is that almost the more we try, the more we feel like we're not getting what we want, and the more stuck in the mud we can feel, or the more almost like a martyr we can feel where it's like, okay, I'll just do it, and because nobody else will. I'll just show up and make it happen. Well, is that, sometimes, sure, it's almost like showing resilience with this Capricorn energy and the Saturn energy. It's good, but at the same time, getting met with weird, Venus and Aquarius sort of things, especially still square Uranus, adjustments can be made, right? Like it's a more intuitive structure building that's odd and different, and we're all trying to see what that means. We're all trying to understand what that means. So as we're starting to see new structures be formed, and Pluto's done with Capricorn, this is the first new moon without without Pluto ever coming back into Capricorn that we'll ever feel. It's a big initiation, but the game's been changed. It's been reborn. So it's almost like we've been playing a game, playing Monopoly in some way, and the Monopoly board has changed, and where you thought Park Place was or Boardwalk was is in a different spot now. So it's more of just like being intelligent enough, especially with Mercury about to come out of shadow and done with the oppositions to Jupiter, being intelligent enough in your surroundings to see the truth and to know your truth and to feel it and to believe in it, but to also be conscious enough to make the necessary shifts to get a new goal. It's almost like Park Place and Boardwalk are now, Marvin Gardens and whatever else is next to that, like not, the big thing, but now it's the railroad. Now you want to get all the railroad pieces to this board because that's going to actually be the winning ticket, right? So I think understanding that the system and the game we play and the structure of our lives and of society is in a place where it's really in a newborn state. And what might have been a plan, what might have been the long-term success that you had wanted or worked for could be making changes now. And I think it's a feeling thing, and I think you can see writing on the wall, and I think we've, been able to discover enough truth, but it's this weird ego check with Mars Pluto that makes it a little bit harder, especially with Mars retrograde, to really understand maybe where we're pushing too hard or overly compulsive and where we need to like tone it down and just kind of chip away at figuring out what the new start is, and not be afraid to take our time, not be afraid to go over things again. Because I feel like we can all kind of want everything to happen now. And I think it's just going to be more of a long-term process. I think this is a good new moon and a good energetic place to be right now to start building new structure around what you want out of life, finding a deeper integrity, finding something that feels very in a flow state, and not quitting, being resilient for what feels right, for what is a truth, but also not being overly fixated or dogmatic and being open to the truth changing. So, a little weird. We're in the middle of eclipses. It's the middle, coming into a new year. Nodes are about to change. We're kind of in between. We're in between time in a lot of ways, and now we're getting a new moon in a sign that deals heavily with time. So our perspective of time is abrasive right now, and it's a little intense. So keep that in mind. It's a long journey, right? It's steep. Okay, we're in Capricorn now. We're at the top of the mountain. Keep going, but don't be afraid to reevaluate and to reinvent what you want out of life. And I think intention for this new moon should be around listening to the inner knowing about what is best for you, even though it can be conflicting with maybe what you were already creating or what you're already very invested in. But you got to trust yourself right now. And I think that that's some of the harder parts, is like trusting yourself, trusting your intuition to kind of go over these blueprints and these plans, and to make time for things that maybe you didn't make time for before, but are actually becoming more important because the structure and the board's changing in odd ways. And I don't think that's, a bad thing. It's just a little in between time and starting to really generate new systems for how we as individuals go about our life and what we want to be responsible for, and what's more in line with our own unique integrity and our values that are very much different and special, especially with Venus in Aquarius and square Uranus. Everybody's got a different, perspective and a vision of life. So find your vision, separate from what isn't yours, and start building your set of plans. Figure out what on this board of life is the most valuable to you, and what's going to make you feel like you're doing something important to you, and to not feel like you have to do something that you don't really feel like you're in alignment with, something that you feel like you're compromising or overly compromising to do. And I think that's part of it too, is coming into a place where we're more individuated with our own goals and not feeling so heavily burdened by things that are not our own sort of rule-based system. Rules are important. We're always going to have them. But I think with the North Node in Aries and the squares to the nodes and in between, a lot of it is like really re-identifying your own rules and sticking to them. So it's like being very responsible for yourself and what you want, but also knowing that you're changing, and so your rules have to change a little bit too. So I hope that's helpful. I don't dislike this new moon at all. It's conjunct my sun on my midheaven. My birthday's tomorrow. Get a new moon for my birthday. And a 12th house perfection year. Can't wait. Saturn in my 12th. Cool. Super excited for 2025. But yeah, wishing you all the best. And figure out what's important on your Monopoly board of life right now. And it might not be what it used to be. It might be changing a lot. And I think that's exciting. Because once you do kind of crack that code, which I think is going to come more intuitively, and it's going to be more flowy than rigid like it's been in the past, you're going to start to figure a lot of things out, and that's exciting. And gives us something we want to go after. gives us, the proper goal sets. And I feel like this is a good new moon that like is recalibrating our goals and the things that we want or we feel has purpose in life. Card for the new moon is the Six of Pentacles upright. I love this card. It is the card of sort of charity, right? And giving back and balance and having enough to give. And I think it's a good reminder that we do want to still be able to get back to the collective. We want to have things to give. This card always reminds me too that like that guy only knows he can hand out those coins because he has enough. He has the capacity for it. So we always want to remember too with this, if we're not in a place where we can give, we have to give to ourselves first. And maybe that's one of the more important things right now is recalibrating what's important, making sure you have enough to give. Because if you don't, then are you even giving anything worth giving or worth receiving? So yeah, give back when you can. Help out when you can. Help people figure out, if you feel like you're in the right spot and you're in a good flow and you're understanding your blueprint, maybe it's time to help others find their blueprint. Help them with the drafting of their plans. And also, likewise, if you do need help, don't be afraid to reach out for it from somebody that looks like they can provide that. Now, whether they will or not, we never know. But we don't want to be afraid, to ask for help either, or to feel like we're not worthy of help. And that's what I got from that card. I love you all. Have a beautiful Monday, and I'll see you all for New Year's Eve tomorrow. Much love. Peace.